Hello everyone and welcome to my stamp studio. It is hump day. Whoop whoop. Hope you all are having a great day. Let me know if you're joining me today. Let me know where you're from. Let me know what you're having for lunch today. And we'll get started in just a moment. I'm just going to pull up my comments over here. If you're watching this on Facebook, say hi. If you're watching the replay, let me know. And also, this is going to be posted up to my YouTube channel. So if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment. Let me know how you like this. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you click the little bell for the notify, you'll be notified anytime I upload a new video. So here we go. All right, so today I'm super excited because we are going to be featuring our new Cactus Cuties stamp set, and it is from our January to June mini catalog. If you haven't gotten one of these catalogs, or if you don't have a demonstrator, please reach out to me, let me know. I'd love to earn your business and send you a catalog. So let me show you the wonderful bundle that we're going to be using as soon as I can find what I did with my stamp set. Okay, so here is the stamp set that we'll be using and the coordinating punch. I love this because not everyone has a die cut machine. So this bundle offers stamp set and a punch, and you don't have to worry about having a die cutting machine. And okay, let's see how I can get this up a little more. Well, okay, I guess we'll just have to go this way with it. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to start on a simple card, and then we're going to step it up. So, yep, we're going to get it done in record time, and here we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my ink pads. I'm going to be using Evening Evergreen, Gray Granite, and Cherry Cobbler. So these are the three stamp ink pads that we're going to be using today. I am going to, on a stepped up version, I am going to pull in my Gray Granite blends. You get a set of two, a light and a dark, when you purchase those. So let's put those up ahead here. I'm going to go ahead and open them right away and just put them above my little work area. I also will have my piercing mat here because this is a photopolymer set. So when you have a photopolymer set, and that's a clear set stamp, so you can see through it, you need to have some sort of little cushion underneath your work surface. So that's why I have that in. Now, I already have all the stamps that I'm going to be using today already mounted. That way I can do this much faster for you. And let me just get my scrap piece of paper here. Well, this will do. I just want to make sure that that was all dry. There we go. Okay. So I have just a piece of basic white. It's a half sheet, and it's just because I'm going to be stamping a couple of things and punching them out and fussy cutting them. So I just want to have a large enough sheet so I have all the pieces that I need. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to also bring in an envelope here because I'm going to show you how sneaky I'm going to be with that one. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up my first cactus here. I'm going to make sure that I get it fully inked. I don't want to press too hard because I don't want to get around the edges, but my stamp pad's a little dry, so I wanted to make sure that I actually have enough ink on there. So I'm going to stamp it once, and then, ooh, make sure I don't get that on my projects, and I'm going to stamp it a second time. So because the Evening Evergreen is so dark, you can get multiple pieces on that. So now we're going to take our next one here, which is going to be this little leaf shape. And again, I'm going to stamp a dark and a light. We'll clean that off. And now I'm going to come back in with my other cactus here, and I'm just going to put it away. And so the third piece of cactus we're using is this. And let's get this one put off to the side here. And I'm going to go ahead and just put that down, pick it up. And we'll go ahead and ink this one. Oh, I see how I'm getting ink on my hands. It's how I'm holding my stamp pad. So let me just change it around a little bit. And I'm going to stamp one right over that blotch. And again, I'm going to stamp right up here. Just like that. And I'm actually going to stamp this one more time right on my envelope. I'm going to just stamp it off to the side, just like that. So it goes off just a little bit. And we'll get that one cleaned. I like to clean my stamps in between, so if I grab them again and I go with a different color, I don't have to worry about it. The next thing I want to do is grab this small little cactus piece. Now, this cactus piece fits in the punch as well as the one we just stamped. So I'm going to go ahead, ink this up here. And this I want in full strength. Now, I could, because I have that one, stamp it there. Stamp it again. And I notice I'm leaving quite a bit of space in between. That's so when I go to punch it, I'm not going to accidentally get one of the other punched portions in there. So I'm going to ink this up one more time, bring in my envelope, and we'll put one here. I'm going to re-ink it again, and we'll put another one here, just like that. We'll clean this off. Okay, and now I'm going to bring in this little piece here, and you know what I'm going to do first? Yeah, I'll just do it now. I'm going to stamp that in my cherry cobbler. So doing right there, and I just need one. Okay, and now I'm going to slide this over a little bit, and we're going to take the 3 different pots in here all at one time, and we're going to stamp it all in one time in gray granite. Now, because I had this on such a large block, I'm going to take my stamp pad to my block, just stamp it like that, and I'm going to stamp them over here. And I'm giving myself a lot of extra paper in case I need to stamp more. That one didn't go so well, so we'll just stamp that again. And this time I'm just going to flip my paper over, just so I know that I have enough room. All right, I'm just going to give it a push. There we go, that's much better. So what I'm going to do before I forget I have that, I'm just going to grab my scissors right here and cut that strip off. Okay, now, is there anything else that I need to stamp? Yes, one more thing. And where is that little stamp? Oh, no, we won't do that because we're not going to be cutting that one out. I'll stamp it right on the paper. Okay, so I'm going to get started on some of my other things. I'm going to close these because I don't need to use them again right now. I'll leave my cherry cobbler open for just a few minutes because I will come back and be using that. I'm going to go ahead and quickly cut these out. And this cuts out pretty fast. It's not too bad. So when you're cutting, go ahead and make sure that you're turning your paper and not your scissors. They're made of metal. They're not flexible. Okay, we'll get this next one done. So this does take a little bit of time. The images are pretty easy to cut out though. They're not really intricate. The most intricate one is that, but it's not too bad. And we'll get this last one here. So when we step up this card, I'm going to bring in a couple other products. In the description, I will have a list of all the products used. I'm going to list them in their entirety, so you'll see all the things I used in the stepped up version as well. But you don't necessarily have to have all those. All right, so let's get this out of the way. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to trim this slice out right here. And bring in my punch. I'm going to slide this in right at the top and go ahead and punch those out. Oh, see, that one got really close. So when I'm punching this, I just need to make sure that I have that. So that's why I spaced them far enough apart so that I didn't have to worry about accidentally punching into the image. So let's go get these pieces that I need. So these lighter pieces I'm going to put aside. Those are not going to be the ones I'm going to use. And let's just trim this a little better. We'll just make this a little more rounded. There we go. Okay, so we've got our pots, we've got that. I'm going to go ahead and snip this off here. Okay, and I'm actually going to do this. Now I'm doing that because my shape right here, when I insert that, if I wouldn't have trimmed it, I'm going to have a bunch of stuff cut off. So that's why I went ahead and trimmed it down. So I'll go ahead and punch that. There we go. And we'll punch this one. Just because if I'm going to make one card, I might as well make two right away, right? Have all the supplies for two. All right, we'll go ahead and fussy cut this out. I'm not going to fussy cut that stamped off version because for this card, I'm not going to use that. What I like to do sometimes when I'm doing these and I have those stamped off pieces, I'll actually put them in the stamp case so that I can use them later on for a different project. And I'm just going to quickly trim that out. Sometimes it's easier to trim some of that excess away so that you can get your image cut out a little better. Now I'm going right up to the stamped image. You don't necessarily have to. I am leaving this portion on the bottom and I'll show you why in just a few minutes. And let's get these trimmed out. All right, again, I'm just going to snip that off to make it easier to cut. So how is everyone doing? It's almost Friday. Isn't that wonderful? I cannot wait. I was really excited about this card today too. I hope you really enjoy it. All right, again, I'm leaving some of that bottom on there. And same with this one. So we have one more thing to cut out and then we will get to actually putting our card together. Trying to make this in less than 30 minutes here. Probably could have had this done. I have it done for the second card. I just didn't have it done for this one card. All right. So this is the only image that I have the first generation, second generation. So when you stamp the first time, it's called first generation. That one's called second generation. Let's get some of these pieces picked up. Oh, our last little piece here I need. So I'm just going to trim this one out. All right. And it's okay if you have a little bit of that white showing. It's not a big deal. And this one, I don't want to have any excess in the bottom. So we're just going to trim that like that. Okay, so we have all those pieces done. We'll get that out of the way. Okay, let's bring in our card base. So our card base is with thick white. It's 8.5 by 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. So I'm bringing my bone folder here, and I'm just going to give that a good crease so it lays flat. Now I have a piece of designer series paper, and this measures 5 3/4. I'm sorry, 5 by 3 3/4, and it is from our Bloom Where You're Planted designer series paper. So I'm mixing a little bit of the new with a little bit of the old. If you didn't want to stamp those planter pots, you could definitely use this and trim these out and use it. But the piece that I actually grabbed is from here, and I'm just using the back side. So I really like that background. I wanted a little bit of something. So right now I'm still just using stamps, ink, and paper. Yes, I do have my punch in there. All right, next thing we're going to do, we're going to kind of set some of this up. So let's go ahead and bring in our pieces. And I'm going to put this here with, let's see, I think that pot. We'll do this one. And I'm just trying to see where I want to have this layering. So I'm going to put one here. And this is where we have that extra one. Notice how I'm tucking in my cactus here, kind of behind the pot. That's why I had that little bit of extra on there. Okay, so this is basically how I'm going to layer this out. And I'm just going to put these guys right here. And I do need a piece of scrap cherry cobbler. And we're just going to cut a strip off because we're going to punch out 2 of these little flowers right here. So I'm going to just slide this strip in. 1 and 2. Try and get rid of all that scrap. All that too. And I'm going to end up putting those right here. Now, the reason I am laying this out first is because I don't want to go to all the work of adhering everything, and then if I make a mistake when I'm stamping something, I have to start all over. So I've got my greeting, and this says, hope your day is on point, and I'm taking my cherry cobbler, and I'm going to stamp it right near the top. Just like that. And now we can go ahead and start assembling our pieces. So to do that, oh, I got ink all over my envelope. I'm going to move this aside, and what I want to do first is I'm going to adhere this right down to my thick whisper white, my thick basic white, and I'm going to pull in my seal to do that. I'm also going to be using mini glue dots, and I'll probably grab some liquid glue, but we'll see. All right, I like to open my card flat so that when I'm layering this, I can actually get a better idea of how I've centered it. Now, the red inks and dark inks take a little bit longer to dry, so be careful you don't do that right away so that you don't smear it. Okay, so we got that piece going. I can actually close this up so I don't get my hand in it again. I lied. There's one thing that I have to stamp. All right, I'm going to first get this one here. And again, I'm not quite adhering it yet because I want to, we're going to go ahead and assemble this one right away. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my glue dot, and I am going to be using dimensionals because dimensionals always add a little bit of extra bling, and it's not an expensive version of bling, so it's a great thing to have. All right, if I can get them out of my little carrier here. All right, so let's go ahead and adhere my 2 pieces first. So let's take this. All right, so I'm just going to put this right here. Oop. I wanted to stick to my fingers and not. These sleeves are a little bit too long to be doing things with. So I'm going to just put my first one right there, just like that. And now I'll take another glue dot, and this time I can actually take my stamped image right here. So I can put that right here, pull that off, and now I want to flip this over because I want to kind of just slightly shift that just like that. All right, now for this one I can add my dimensional, and I'm going to actually put 2 on there. I'm not going to peel off my backings yet because now I can see how high that's going to go. And the reason I wanted to see how high that's going to go is because I'm going to bring in this other part of the cactus, and I'm going to ink this in the cherry cobbler, and I'm going to put it right about here. So I'm stamping right on my designer series paper because now I'll have this right there, and it's going to look like it's part of the plant. Just like that. And this one I can actually go ahead and adhere right now. So I'll peel off these backings and put that right there. So I just want a little portion of that sticking out. Now, I said earlier I have this little extra piece there. That is so I can adhere that to my pot. So one little trick I have for you too. So if you've used your dimensional sheets and you have this little extra sheet, if you don't have a silicone mat, this works great when you're doing your adhesive. That way, if you run your adhesive over the edge, it's not going to stick to your work surface, and it's not going to stick to that. So here we go. I'm just going to layer that right on there just like that. Again, I think this one, we're just going to adhere right on there so it's more flat. So we'll go ahead and just use a little bit more adhesive. Get that right up there. Oh my, what happened there? I pressed a little too hard so it doesn't want to roll now. All right, there we go. We'll put that one a little higher. And I'm going to take this one right here and put it right there. Now, because it's a small piece, I'm going to end up using a glue dot instead of trying to put my seal on it, just because it's a smaller shape. So grab your glue dot and just take your image there, give it a good press, and lift it back off. And you can put it wherever you want. You can put it on top or on this one. I'm going to put it on this one. Okay, now our last little cactus is right here. And where did our little pot go? Where did that go? Right on my lap. Right where it's supposed to be, right? Okay, this one I'm going to go ahead and again use my dimensionals. So I'm going to put one here. And this time I'm not going to adhere that. What's going to happen is when I put this one on, just like that, I can actually just slide this right underneath. I don't have to worry about adhering it. Just like that. All right. I've got these two small little pieces here. So you can take your dimensionals and cut it in half, or you can take one of these little strips here, like that, and just cut along that edge and just use a piece of it. So go ahead and do that. All right. And we'll peel those two things off. All right, so I've got one here. And I think I'll tuck that other one just in back just a little bit. All right, now we punched out these little pieces earlier. So I've got 1, 2. Now these are really tiny pieces. So this is where liquid glue helps. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put a little dot where I want those. And then I'm just going to plop these right on there. I'll push it down just a little bit. I don't want to have that glue ooze all over, so I'm just gently tapping on it. All right, so that is our simple card. Now we'll step it up a little bit. And the way that we're going to step this up, let me move this somewhere so it doesn't get all ruined. I have my cleaning mat off to the side and it's getting a little messy over there. All right, so I do have all the pieces cut the same way. So I've got my little cactus here with my little pieces, and here's the larger cactus and the smaller one. I've got my 3 little pots here. On my first pot, well, let's go ahead and show you some of the parts. So I have gray granite cardstock now. So 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I brought in a piece of cherry cobbler, which measures 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wait to adhere this down because I want to pop that up with dimensionals also. And we're going to use a little bit of our fan baker twine. We're going to be using that. So again, I'm just stepping it up a little bit by adding a couple extra things. So the other piece that I have now is I have my designer series paper. It's the same 5 by 3 3/4, but this time I ran it, and you can see it on this side, I ran it through the bark embossing folder. So here is the bark embossing folder. I just put my paper in and ran it through the die cut machine, and voila. Sometimes it's just fun to add some dimension to your designer paper. Okay, so we're going to stamp this sentiment again right up on the top, and before I adhere it to that, I'm just going to stamp that. Oh, okay, good enough. Okay, let's close that up. All right, so we'll go ahead and adhere these two things together. Now, when I have a embossed piece of paper that has deep embossing on it, I do like to use my liquid glue. It just seems to hold that better. So we'll go ahead and do that. And just also gives me a little bit of wiggle room, so if I don't have it laid out just right, I can move it around. Okay, there we go. Let's start adding everything onto our card front here. So I'm going to grab my ribbon here, and I am just going to tie a quick bow. Now you could do a knot or you could do a bow. I'm just doing this now because I'm probably going to be moving it, but this way I have it already here. Now, when I'm working with baker's twine, linen thread, I tend to like tying a knot before I tie my bow. That way I know it's going to stay in place and it's not going to get really loose. So let's tie our bow. I think I'm a little bow challenged today. Let's try that again. It shouldn't be hard to tie a bow today. All right. So I've got a pretty big bow. So just hold your knot and then pull in. Pull in. That way your bow doesn't twist. All right. Now I want to move this out of the way. So I'm going to just curl my card just a little bit so I can slide this further. And I can also just easily kind of just roll it along there to be where I'm going to want. And I'm just going to leave it like that for right now, because I want to see where everything else is going to lay out before I further adjust that. So let's go ahead and let's add everything back in. Remember I had said before, we're going to bring in that. We'll put some adhesive right on there. And we'll put this right on, just like that. So we've got one set. Now, the next thing I wanted to show you was something really fun. So I have my little pot that I had taken earlier, and I fussy cut that out. But now I'm going to take my dark gray granite, and I'm going to use the chisel end here, and I am just going to, that's kind of slippery, move that. I am just going to go right on the inside of my triangle here. Just add a little bit of dimension. Now, when you're using blends directly on your cardstock, sometimes they bleed a little bit, so that's not always going to be perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'll just make these a little bigger. Here we go. It just added some depth in there. On this one, I'm going to go ahead and just go along those lines right there. They're not really straight, so it doesn't matter. I don't have to be straight then. There we go. All right. Just adds a little bit more fun. That's all it does. Okay, let's take this. So we're going to have this one right here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a risk, and I'm just going to go ahead and add this on. Just based on the other card I did, I can kind of judge where that's going to go. All right. All right, we'll grab our next one here. And this again, I'm going to just take my dimensionals. Put one on the pot, put one on the cactus. I'll add this right to the front of the card. And maybe we'll go, should have had that one up a little bit higher, but I didn't. Well, I didn't have to have it up higher. I would have liked to have it a little higher. Okay. And then we'll grab our darker pieces here. Had to make sure when I first stamped, I had a piece of hair on my stamp, and so it had a funny looking line right in the middle of my image. I'm like, well, that's not what I want. So I had to just flip my paper over and restamp. All right, so we'll get those little backings off of here, and we'll put these down just like we did before. So one in front, one in back, or you can have both in front, totally up to you. All right, kind of almost looks like Minnie Mouse, right? So the reason I'm showing this today is because over the weekend I'm going to be announcing my Cactus Cuties class to go, and it will be available for you to sign up for. And what is a class to go? Well, a class to go is I cut everything for you except for the bundle that we're using. So you would need the Cactus Cuties stamp set and punch. But everything else that would be die cut is going to already be done for you. I cut all the cardstock. You make one of each card, and there's usually about 4 or 5 cards, and then a 3D project. A 3D project is something other than a card. That's all that is. All right, we've got that one there. And let's go ahead and, since I've got the liquid glue right here, I'll just take a risk and use the liquid glue. All right, let's grab our last little pot here. And this one, I guess we'll put it right there. That one's going to have a dimensional on it anyways. So we'll add that right there. Again, I'm going to take the glue dots to these. And I don't know where I just put them. Here we go. So this one will need a glue dot in the front. So we have that right there. I just want to make sure that wherever I put that glue dot, I have my plant down far enough. Otherwise, the glue dot will catch everything. And this one, we'll do the glue dot in front as well. And let's see how we want to layer that one. If I can pick it up. Oh my goodness. Being a challenge. And we are really almost done with this card. If the glue doesn't keep sticking to me. All right, there we go. Put a dimensional right on the back of that. So we've just got to add this to our card base and then add a little more bling. So I'm going to put this one a little closer to that this time. All right, let's add our dimensionals in. Let's see where I want to put this before I do that. I think having that over there will be cute. And I'm just going to trim these down just a little bit. I do like them a little longer, so I'm going to leave it a little bit longer. There we go. It doesn't have to be even. Oops. Well, that didn't work, did it? Okay. I can't believe I just untied that. Oh, well, it happens, right? Okay. So I may have to trim this one down just a little bit more. There we go. Okay, let's get some dimensionals on the back of here. And bring in our card base. And we're almost done, everyone. Did you get the set? Oh, great. I love this. This is actually going to be the make and take for our team meeting later this month. So if you're a member of the Ink Trails team meeting, every month I do some make and takes, and you can get the make and take package, or you can just use a tutorial and your own stash of stuff. But that is our card. So let's bring back in our envelope here and our original card. Oh, sorry, I missed the finishing touch. So I'm using the classic matte dots here, and I'll grab my take a pick tool, and I am going to actually color these in with my dark gray granite here. So it doesn't matter which ones you use. So we're just going to do this one here, and it's not real dark. It's pretty subtle. If you wanted to use one of the darker colors, you could. And this dries pretty quick because these are alcohol-based markers. So it's very subtle. If you want to use one of the brighter ones or darker ones, you could. All right, let's go ahead and pick this one up. And we'll put one right here. Another one that would go really well with this is the pebbles. But I decided I wanted to play with this because this is also one of the featured items in the Class to Go. So the Class to Go, like I said, is a kit that contains all the pre-cut cardstock and everything, design cards, a tutorial that's emailed to you, and you get designer series paper and embellishment, which is going to be these dots here, these guys here, yeah. And I don't know what I just put them. So look back later. I'll have this uploaded to YouTube this evening. It will have a list of all the ingredients used. So from our simple to our stepped up. So both look really cute. It's just your decision on what supplies we have. If you need anything and have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to help you out. And have a great rest of the week. I hope you enjoy your lunch today. Take care.